How can the Denver Broncos walk into Philadelphia and leave with a win against the Bird Gang? In this video, we're going behind enemy lines, breaking down the Eagles from the inside out. We'll talk about what's truly happening with Philadelphia's defense, how they've built such a dominant streak, and what this means for Bo Nix and the Broncos offense heading into this clash. We'll also explore what the Eagles fan base, the passionate Bird Gang, really thinks about this matchup. Are they confident? Are they worried about the rise of Bo Nix? And how does the NFC East stack up against the AFC West this year? All that and more coming right up. So, how's the energy right now in Eagles Nation? Let's just say, the vibes are sky high. After all, this team has been on an incredible run, 20 straight wins, a fan base buzzing with pride, and a culture built on confidence and dominance. But here's the thing, when a team wins that much, some fans get a little spoiled. They start nitpicking every small detail. Still, the true veterans of the fan base, the ones who lived through those painful seasons, they're not taking any of this for granted. And for that, you have to respect them. Oh, and on behalf of the entire AFC West, Denver fans definitely appreciated Philly taking down the Kansas City Chiefs last season. That was a moment. But even with all that success, the advanced analytics show something interesting, a subtle drop-off in the Eagles' offensive rhythm. The run game, once unstoppable, isn't creating as much space as before. Last season, guys like Saquon Barkley were averaging 3 yards before even being touched. This year? That cushion looks smaller. The question now is, can the Broncos exploit that? When you look at Saquon Barkley's numbers this season, there's a clear drop-off. Last year, he was getting almost 3 yards before defenders could even lay a hand on him. This year? Barely 1. So what's really going on? Well, it's not just on Barkley. The Eagles' offensive line has been dealing with a storm of injuries. Almost every week, someone's been missing, whether it's Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson, or both. And losing Mekhi Becton, one of their most powerful run blockers, was a huge blow. He's now with the Chargers, leaving a noticeable gap in that front line. When you mix all that with a new play caller stepping in yet again, the offense is bound to look a little shaky early on. It's almost become an annual tradition in Philly, a new offensive coordinator trying to find rhythm, new schemes, new timing. Last season, they didn't even score in the first quarter until week 7. It took time, but once things clicked, the offense found its stride. Right now, those growing pains are back. Most of Barkley's carries are being forced straight up the middle behind an injured line, no motion, no misdirection, no creativity. The spark that made this team so dynamic last year just hasn't returned yet. Still, it's remarkable how the Eagles continue to produce despite the constant turnover. Losing over a dozen coordinators in just 3 years would sink most teams, yet somehow they keep competing at a high level. But the Tampa Bay game raised some real questions. Jalen Hurts didn't complete a single pass in the second half, something unheard of for a quarterback of his caliber. And then there were those cryptic A.J. Brown tweets, the kind that get the entire fanbase buzzing and the media speculating. So what's the truth behind that? Well, this isn't new behavior for A.J. Brown. He's a fiery competitor, emotional, passionate, and never afraid to speak his mind. He's done this before. When the offense stalls, his frustration shows. But that's also what makes him great. He expects excellence, from himself and from everyone around him. At this point, it's almost become a tradition in Philadelphia. Every couple of months, A.J. Brown drops a cryptic tweet, the fanbase panics, and then he clears it all up a day later. It's just part of the rhythm of Eagles football. Seasons change, the wins pile up, and A.J. posts something mysterious on social media. Then, like clockwork, he apologizes, saying, "It wasn't about Jalen. It wasn't about Nick. I love it here. This is my home." And just like that, everything settles down again. But against Tampa Bay, something definitely felt off in that second half. It looked like the Eagles were forcing the ball to A.J. Brown, over and over again. Maybe it was a halftime conversation, maybe frustration building up, or maybe just an effort to get their star receiver more involved. In the first half, the offense looked balanced. Devonta Smith got his touches, Dallas Goedert was active, everyone had a role. But after the break, it was all A.J. Brown, target after target, drive after drive. And that's when things got weird. Because if you watched closely, Jalen Hurts didn't quite look himself. Late in the first half, he took a massive hit, slow to get up, went into the medical tent, and by the time the second half rolled around, something seemed off. The throws weren't as sharp. The timing was off. It's entirely possible he was shaken up. That would explain a lot, the lack of rhythm, the heavy reliance on A.J. Brown, and the stalled drives late in the game. Now, injuries are nothing new for this Eagles offense. Toughness is part of their DNA, but so is attrition. And when you check the latest reports, tight end Dallas Goedert didn't practice earlier this week. That's actually pretty standard, he's one of those players who battles through nicks and bruises every year. Still, it's a reminder of how fragile the margin for error can be in the NFL. One banged-up quarterback, a few key linemen out, and even a powerhouse like Philadelphia can start to wobble. Honestly, that's pretty much the expectation in Philadelphia every season. Dallas Goedert usually misses a few games each year, so it's nothing new for the Eagles. The latest report isn't out yet, but as of now, Goedert's status remains uncertain for Sunday. The good news? The entire offensive line practiced together this week, and that's huge. If they're good to go, this team will be close to full strength heading into another electric Sunday matchup inside one of the loudest stadiums in football. Now, let's talk about that Eagles defense, the same defense that once sacked Patrick Mahomes 6 times using just a 4-man rush. Most people thought there would be a massive drop-off this year after losing stars like Josh Sweat, Darius Slay, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. But somehow, the opposite has happened. So who's stepping up? Who's keeping that fire alive on defense? The truth is, there haven't been any real surprises, just solid development and smart drafting. Philly knew the talent they had waiting in the wings. Last season ended with Nakobe Dean sidelined, he didn't even get to play in the postseason. So heading into this year, the Eagles made sure to reinforce their depth, and they did it in style. They drafted Jahad Campbell, and he's been a revelation. From week 1, the rookie has looked confident, physical, and fearless, flying to the football, making plays, and setting a tone. He's become this year's version of what Haason Reddick and K'Von Wallace brought in seasons past: instant impact, relentless energy. And then there's Andrew Mukuba. When C.J. Gardner-Johnson left, there were questions about who could replace his swagger, his toughness, his attitude. Mukuba answered those questions fast. He's brought that same edge, the grit, the confidence, and the playmaking spark that defines this Philly defense. It's no wonder the Eagles are riding another 4-game win streak. Even when the names change, the standard doesn't. That's what makes this team so dangerous, and what the Denver Broncos will have to face head-on. Last season, C.J. Gardner-Johnson led the Eagles in takeaways, a defensive spark plug who always seemed to be around the ball. Now, rookie Andrew Mukuba has already stepped into that role beautifully, recording his first takeaway of the season and proving he can handle the pressure of being the next man up. And it's not just him. 2 rookies, Mukuba and Jahad Campbell, have already made an impact, giving this defense the kind of energy and depth championship teams need. After the Dallas game, the Eagles made another smart move, signing veteran Zadarius Smith. That addition became even more crucial when Nolan Smith went to injured reserve. Zadarius stepped in, made his presence felt immediately, and brought that veteran leadership and physicality to the edge rush. Then there's Josh Uche, one of their key off-season pickups. He's come in and contributed exactly as expected, quick off the snap, disciplined in coverage, and relentless in pursuit. But maybe the most impressive thing about this defense is how the players already on the roster have continued to grow. Guys like Nakobe Dean, Haason Reddick, and Zach Bond have elevated their game to another level. The depth pieces, the ones who've waited for their moment, are finally stepping into the spotlight. Players like Moro Ojomo have filled in seamlessly after Milton Williams' departure, showing that the Eagles' front office wasn't just planning for the present, they were building for the future. And then there's Jordan Davis, the heart of that defensive line. After taking his lumps early in his career, he's come back sharper, stronger, and hungrier than ever. Now, he's collapsing pockets, commanding double teams, and anchoring that defensive front like a true force. Everywhere you look, this Eagles defense is stacked with talent that's either homegrown or perfectly scouted. They've drafted well. They've developed better. And that's why, no matter how many stars they lose, this team doesn't fall off, it reloads. The result? A defense that still dominates the trenches, still punishes quarterbacks, and still plays with that unmistakable Philadelphia edge. Now, let's shift focus to what really matters, the matchup between Bo Nix and the Philadelphia defense. From the Eagles' perspective, this game will be all about pressure, relentless, physical, suffocating pressure. That's where their linebackers and defensive front come in. The Bird Gang knows exactly what's at stake. They're well aware that the Broncos still haven't picked up a road win this season. And for Bo Nix, walking into Lincoln Financial Field, the Link, for the first time as an NFL quarterback? That's no easy task. Eagles fans plan to make it a nightmare. The noise, the chaos, the energy, all of it designed to rattle a young quarterback still finding his rhythm in the league. It's his second year, but this will be one of those defining moments, a true test of composure under fire. Philly's defense knows exactly how to attack. They'll send waves of pressure from the interior and the edges, forcing Nix to make quick decisions. Because once you get him uncomfortable early, it's hard for the rhythm to ever come back. And while the front seven does its job, the secondary remains as dangerous as ever. Quan Mitchell continues to emerge as one of the breakout young defenders in the league, improving every single week, reading routes, jumping passes, and setting the tone in coverage. But the real storyline everyone's talking about? A.J. Brown versus Patrick Surtain 2, a heavyweight battle that could define this game. After a week of frustration and headlines, A.J. Brown will be hungry, desperate to make a statement. And Surtain, one of the most technically sound corners in football, will be ready to meet that challenge head-on. It's the kind of matchup that captures everything fans love about football: passion, pride, and pure competition. Both players know what this game means, and both will be out to prove something on Sunday. One thing about Jalen Hurts, he's not here to please people. He's not chasing headlines or validation. He's focused on winning. And after a week full of media buzz and speculation, everyone's watching to see how this Eagles offense responds. Even Jason Kelce recently spoke about it on his podcast, saying that when teams try to travel Patrick Surtain 2 with A.J. Brown, it opens up the field for the Eagles to shred man coverage. That's the chess match waiting to unfold on Sunday. Does Denver stick with man defense, risking those matchups, or drop into zone to contain the chaos? That decision alone could change the entire tone of the game. And of course, there's one play that never fails to spark debate across the NFL, the tush push. Love it or hate it, it's become part of the Eagles' identity. For Philly fans, it's not just a trick play, it's a statement of dominance. But here's the truth, the Eagles didn't need the tush push to be great in short yardage situations. They were already elite at it. Jalen Hurts squats 600 pounds. That's not a typo, 600. Combine that raw power with one of the strongest offensive lines in football, and you get a team that was built to win those tough, physical downs long before the play even existed. The tush push just added a little flair, a signature move, a bit of swagger that only the Eagles could pull off. And when they line up in that formation, the entire stadium knows what's coming. The defense knows. The fans know. And yet, they still can't stop it. Last week, the Eagles even mixed in a fake off that look, catching the defense completely off guard. That's the brilliance of this team, they take something predictable and turn it into a weapon. So when Philly comes out in that short yardage formation, it's more than just a play. It's a reminder of strength, precision, and identity. It's Eagles football in its purest form. That play, the tush push, it's not for everyone. You can try to copy it, but you can't stop it. Still, let's be honest, it has been stopped before. Just not often. And yeah, when you've got Jalen Hurts, a guy whose right quad is probably the size of an average person's torso. Good luck stopping that. The man's built different. Whatever he does, he's going to find a way to make it work. But this week, things feel different. The Broncos are heading into Philly, into one of the toughest environments in football, the Link, and it's been 39 long years since Denver last won there. That streak ends this week. It's been heating up all season, and now, it's time to turn that fire into something real. When it comes to predicting the score, though, that's where it gets tricky. Because with this team, you never really know what version you're going to get. The defense? You can trust it. They'll show up. But the offense, that's the wild card. Still, if Denver wants to walk out of Philadelphia with a win, they'll need at least 26 points on the board. So let's call it, Broncos 31, Eagles 19. Yeah, you heard that right, 31 points on the Eagles' defense. At home. Because this week, Sean Payton has that look. That grin. That confidence we've been waiting to see all year. He's been laughing at press conferences, brushing off the noise. And when he's that relaxed, you just know something's brewing. We've seen this before, back when everyone doubted Denver. Underdogs by a touchdown, counted out early. And yet, they showed up and shocked the league. So go ahead, doubt them again. But after this week, everyone's going to put some respect back on Bo Nix's name. Because the truth? He's coming. And he's ready to make the NFL believe. We've faced the best already this season. Dak Prescott, on fire. Baker Mayfield, lighting it up. Patrick Mahomes, the standard. Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, every week, it's been a battle against the truth. And through it all, our defense has held strong. Because make no mistake, this defense is the truth. At home, under the lights at the Link, it's a wall of noise and power that few can survive. So hey, I'm not saying Denver can't win. But if they do, it won't be a shootout. It'll be a war, a low-scoring, defensive grind where every inch matters. Still, that's the beauty of it. That's what makes this matchup so special, the unstoppable energy of the Link versus the rising fire of Denver. And if the Broncos pull this one off? Yeah, we're doing something fun to celebrate. If they lose, well, you might not hear from me for a while. But that's football, rivalries built on pride and unpredictability. And when it comes to the NFC East? It's chaos. Washington's banged up, the Giants are unpredictable, and Dallas, yeah, Dallas is the real problem. Dak Prescott might not have playoff glory yet, but during the regular season? He's a machine. That offense, Dak to Pickens, has been clicking, and when CeeDee Lamb comes back, they'll be even more dangerous. Still, none of them strike fear like the Eagles. Because no matter who lines up across from them, they bring the fight every single week. So maybe Dallas scores 55, but they'll give up 56. That's football, unpredictable, wild, and beautiful. You heard it here first, even deep in Eagles Nation, there's respect for greatness when it shows up ready to fight. But this week, it's all about Denver. Because something's different. There's a quiet confidence building in that locker room, a spark that's turning into a fire. Watch Sean Payton's face during those press conferences. That grin? That's not arrogance. That's a man who knows something the rest of the league doesn't. He knows this team is about to shock the world. He knows that the Broncos are walking into Philly and walking out with a win. This isn't just another Sunday. It's a statement. It's a reminder that Broncos Country never quits, never folds, and never stops believing. The league might doubt us. The crowd might roar against us. But we've seen this story before, and we know how it ends. Ball don't lie. Belief doesn't fade. And this Sunday, Broncos Country rides again. Fire fly high, fight hard, and ride for Denver.